Hey, Mark Elias, you fired Brandon Hyde and your team's not any better. Perhaps it's time to look inward for why you have caused the fall of the Baltimore Orioles. Welcome to the Dugout. I'm your host, Joseph Silva, and on this week's episode, we got a lot of great baseball to catch up on. We check in on what I've been referring to as the post election year NL West and the pure insanity that's going on there. And most importantly, I'm going to talk about what the fuck is going wrong in Baltimore and maybe what they can do to save their season. But before we're getting started, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the Run the Play Network. Ant-Man's Thunder are now one game away from the NBA Finals. You're about to see the most insufferable content in ball, and you have to check it out for sure. Now, we begin with Series 1 with one team we expected to be good, but maybe not this good, and one team we expected just to be dog ass. It's actually really fun. We're talking about the Cardinals versus the Tigers here. And in game one, the Cardinals, man, they absolutely destroyed the Tigers here. Kiter Montero went 5 2/3 for Detroit. Was not good. He gave up 8 hits, 5 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Was outdueled by the Cardinals' Sonny Gray, who had his best start of the year. He really has struggled, but maybe this is going to get him to turn a corner. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, no earned, a walk, 10 strikeouts. My God, Sonny Gray. But overall, the scoring began with a Brendan Donovan RBI single in the first, followed by Ivan Herrera scoring on a wild pitch in the fourth. But the wheels quickly came off for Detroit in the 5th inning, as Wilson Contreras had an RBI groundout. Ivan Herrera grounded into a fielder's choice to bring in another. And then Nolan Arenado, same thing, had an RBI fielder's choice just to really put it out of reach and make it 5-0 here. 7th inning just was a lot more difficult too, as guess who? Ivan Herrera, once again, had an RBI single and would come around to score on a Jordan Walker 2-run double. And my second favorite Pages in MLB, Pedro Pages, had a 2-run shot followed by a Lars Nootbaar sac fly that just really made things untenable for Detroit. They did put up a little bit of a fight as rookie first-half legend Akil Baddoo had an RBI single in the 8th, followed by Andy Ibanez with an RBI double in the 9th, and Trey Sweeney and Dylan Dingler would end the scoring to make it 11-4. But these Tigers, they're gritty. They don't stay down for long, and they shot right back in the second game. They won this one 5-4. Tarek Skubal was good, wasn't, great. Certainly wasn't last Sunday's Tarek Skubal. My God, what a start that was. This one, in comparison, was fine. He went 5 2/3, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned, a walk, and 8 strikeouts. He absolutely dog-walked his opponent, Eric Fedde, who only managed to go 5 innings, give up 5 hits, 4 earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts. Not the best from Fedde overall. And Kerry Carpenter offensively led off the scoring with another leadoff home run, just absolutely on a tear offensively. Riley Green would add an RBI single in the first and a 2-run shot in the third to make it 4-0. But Nolan Arenado immediately cut the lead in half to make it 4-2 with a 2-run homer of his own in the 5th. Ivan Herrera then ratcheted up the tension with an RBI single in the 6th to make it a 1-run game. And Mason Wynn ties it with a sac fly in the 7th. But Riley Green, man, he had himself a game, and this was the cherry on top here, as he had a go-ahead 2-run double in the 9th to really give the Tigers the win. And in the rubber match, it was not close. Them gritty Tags won this one 5-1. It was a bullpen game. Majority innings were eaten by Brant Hooter, who went 3, gave up 1 hit, no earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and a throwback to the pitching chaos days that we all love so much. Meanwhile, Andre Palente was fine. Went 5 2/3, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts. Just that 1 out away from a quality start. But really, walks and strikeouts were not ideal. He was lucky to get through 5, let's be honest here. Offensively, Colt Keith opened the day with a paradoxically productive double play in the second to bring in a run. Spencer Torkelson would then add an RBI double in the 4th to make it 2-0. Dylan Dingler had an RBI single and almost drove in another, but Spencer Torkelson was thrown out trying to score. That makes the game 3-0. Wilson Contreras would get one back with an RBI single, and then Dodgers legend Trey Sweeney and Javi Baez would make it 5-1. And overall, looking at this one, you really saw the offense that makes the Cardinals so much fun to watch in Game 1. But aside from that, you're kind of seeing the things that have made a lot of us hesitant on the Cardinals, and that's just bad pitching. Like, yeah, Sonny Gray had a phenomenal start, but, he finished up runner-up for a Cy Young Award a couple years ago. It's not necessarily surprising by any means. And after that, Palente was fine. He didn't really get a lot out of Fetty, and that's really what is going to hold this team back. But looking at the offense, everybody is so much fun. Donovan is arguably the best second baseman this season. Wynn is not his rookie self, but he's still having a good year. Nootbaar is fun. Everybody on this team is just so much fun. I don't know how long they can keep it up, but they've been playing fantastic baseball these past couple weeks. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, pitching. You know how good the pitching is, and when they were on, they had great starts from Skubal and, of course, pitching chaos in the finale to really drive it home. Offensively, it's really where they've been surprising is Torkelson has had a resurgent year. Javi Baez is playing, I don't want to say 2018 Javi Baez, but he's playing like he's having so much fun out there, really being a defensive anchor in center field. Who saw that Carpenter coming? Carpenter and Green have been fantastic. This is just a fun Tigers team, and they really look like the class of the American League thus far. Wow. But before we begin in our, what is honestly at this point going to be our weekly check-in to the post-election year NL West, let's hear a word from our sponsor.
Man, okay, LeBron hit my parlay. Let's get it.
Oh shit, he hit it?
Yeah, bro. Look at this.
I won $200. I tailed your parlay.
How the heck did you win $200?
I used Boom Fantasy. I used their pick and spin, spun the wheel, got 10 times my money.
Bro, you gotta hook me up.
If you use code RTP, you could get a risk-free bet up to $100. Let's get back to the video.
Now, for those of you who do not know, post-election year NL West is a term I have coined because for whatever reason, the year after a presidential election, the National League West decides to become the most fucking crazy division in the league. 2021, you had that epic Dodgers-Giants chase. 2017, you had a 3-horse race for half the season. 2013 was the get in the pool Dodgers and that famous race against the Diamondbacks. And 2025, you have the Dodgers, you have a very surprising Giants team, and you have the Padres. We're going to check in with the Giants and Padres today. And we start with a rematch of the 2014 World Series here between the Giants and the Royals. And the Royals, they exacted their 11-year plan for revenge in this one. They won this one 3-1, but don't let it fool you. This was a pitcher's duel. Maybe the pitcher's duel of the season, quite frankly, between a pitcher who we didn't expect to be good in the rotation, may be a Cy Young contender if he keeps this up. That, of course, is Kris Bubic. He went 7 innings, only gave up 2 hits, no earned, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. My God, has Bubic been fantastic this year. I was a doubter because I don't like starters being turned into relievers. It works out, or relievers being turned into starters. It works out very rarely. Turns out Kris Bubic is a rare specimen. He's been phenomenal. And he went blow for blow with a man who we kind of forgot about despite winning a Cy Young in this decade. That is Robbie Ray, who went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, no earned, a walk, 7 strikeouts. He has been absolutely dominant for this Giants team. Him and Logan Webb are a fantastic 1-2 punch at the top of this rotation. They are really what is propelling the Giants' success, quite frankly. They do not lose when Robbie Ray is pitching, and he is pitching like his Cy Young self this year. So if both the pitchers pitched well, how did we get some runs here? Well, that started with a Vinny Pasquantino 2-run homer in the 8th that really just broke the deadlock here. But, Grant Sung and the Win Jung-Hoo Lee was not going to make it easy on him. He had an RBI double in the bottom half of the inning. They could not bring him around. And a huge insurance run would come around with a Kyle Isbell RBI single. And the Royals win Game 8 of that World Series 3-1. But the Giants struck back in Game 2. They won this one 3-2. The pitching was not as good for the Royals as Michael Lorenzen only went 4 2/3, gave up 7 hits, 2 earned, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Erratic command just did not have it at all that day. Really sad to see, but he gritted his way through and had a decent start given the cards he was dealt. Hayden Birdsong, I was high on him, but now I'm starting to hate him because, reasons. But I cannot deny he's a fantastic pitcher. He went 5 innings, gave up 1 run, no earned, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Absolutely fantastic stuff from him. The kick change looked phenomenal in the start. God, I don't want to face Birdsong in a couple of weeks here. But offensively, Kyle Isbell capped the scoring last night, opened the scoring in this one with an RBI sac fly in the third. Willie Adames would tie it immediately with an RBI triple in the bottom half of the fourth, and then scored on a Casey Schmidt single. Jung-Hoo Lee added an RBI single after that, and then Bobby Witt Jr. made it interesting with a blazing fast infield single in the 8th, but the Royals could not scratch across another. Giants would take this. And in the rubber match, it was a tense back and forth here, but the Giants really could not put it together against the Royals team. The Royals had a bullpen game. They went combined 9 innings, gave up 8 hits, 4 earned, 6 walks, 7 strikeouts. Not necessarily the best here, but the arms came up big when they needed to. Logan Webb had his worst start of the year. You hate to see it. He went 4 innings, gave up 10 hits, 6 runs, only 3 of them earned, no walks, 5 strikeouts, just overall did not have it. They were on top of everything he threw, and he just does not have the swing and miss stuff to really get through a start like this. Meanwhile, Pasquatch himself, Vinny Pasquantino, opened the scoring with an RBI single in the first, followed by a Mikael Garcia single, an RBI or a sac fly from Bobby Witt Jr. to make it 3-0 after 2. Matt Chapman would make it a little interesting. He added a 3-run homer or a solo shot in the third, followed by a Bobby Witt RBI Jr. and Salvador Perez 2-run home run immediately after that, makes it 6-1. Top 50 player, or I thought he was going to be a top 50 player. He's been a top 50 ass. Patrick Bailey makes it 6-2 with a solo shot. Michael Massey and Mikael Garcia will cap it up 4 straight scoring half innings here with another 2 runs. And then Elio Ramos made it interesting, but they really couldn't do much off Lucas Urseg after that. 6-4 win for Kansas City. And overall, I am sorry I doubted you, Kansas City. I did not think the pitching would hold up as well as it has. The bullpen really was a weakness. They are pitching phenomenally. Urseg is really the most underrated closer in baseball, in my opinion. He's been fantastic since coming over at the deadline last year. Offensively, they're getting contributions from guys I really didn't think so. Bobby Witt's going to be good. Pasquantino's finally putting it together. Garcia had a good series. Isbell, don't let this series fool you. He's still okay at best. But for the Giants, they really made their name with pitching. That's how they won their dynasty. That's how they are doing well this season. And they just didn't have the pitching in this one. The bullpen, kind of collapsed in game 1. Logan Webb had his worst start in game 3. Really, when Birdsong and the bullpen were on is when they won this game. Their offense is good, but it needs to step up a little bit more here. But I'm really just nitpicking. Again, look at what I'm wearing. I don't like giving credit to this Giants team, but they look legit here. They just ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw with a very, very hot Royals team. And, of course, the other team we're covering here is the San Diego Padres, who I may hate slightly more than the Giants. They went to Atlanta to face the Braves, and game 1 was Ronald Acuna's first game back in over a year, but we're not going to talk about him just yet here. Instead, we got to talk about the pitching matchups here. It was Nick Pivetta for the Padres, who went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Aside from what may be the biggest meatball thrown all year, he was on the first pitch. He locked in and was dominant for this one. Just a fantastic signing for the Padres. Turns out when you can find a guy with great stuff plus and get him to use it, he can be a pretty fucking good pitcher. Who knew? Chris Sale, meanwhile, speaking of really good pitchers, is starting to round into form a little bit here. Had a rough start to the year, starting to pitch again like that Cy Young Chris Sale. He went 7 innings, gave up 4 hits, 1 earned, no walks, 6 strikeouts. Dominant stuff from him. Really put the Braves in position to win this one. They would not, unfortunately. Now, I said I was going to talk about Acuna. Let's talk about Acuna here. Because that first pitch that was an absolute meatball was, of course, to Ronald Acuna Jr., who hit an absolute piss missile. 468 feet this ball traveled. Welcome back, Acuna. 1-0 Braves. But Gavin Sheets would not stand for this. In his first at-bat, he hit a solo shot as well, making it 1-1, and it would stay like that for the longest time. But unfortunately, a man who I doubted going into the season has proved me every bit as wrong, as Manny Machado hit an absolute bomb to give the Padres the lead in the ninth that they would not surrender. They take this one 2-1. In Game 2, the Braves really let out their frustration after losing 5 straight this year to the Padres. And they absolutely demolished them 7-1. Sean Reynolds, yeah, he didn't have it. He only went 2 2/3, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned, no walks, 1 strikeout. He was a victim of a very pissed off Braves offense. Meanwhile, Dodgers legend Grant Holmes went 7 innings, gave up 6 hits, 1 earned, a walk, 6 strikeouts. And the scoring opened immediately with a Nick Allen RBI infield single in the second. Manny Machado ties it in the next frame with an RBI single of his own. But then Matt Olson with a solo shot and Ozzie Albies RBI single would untie it immediately in the next half inning, followed by another Ronald Acuna bomb. Man, I think he's back, and I think he's going to be all right here. That would make it 5-1 in the sixth. And then Michael Harris caps the scoring with a 2-run single in the seventh, make it 7-1, and just in an airing of grievances, quite frankly, an excising of demons, a statement win for Atlanta. But they could not get it done in the rubber match here. As Dylan Cease, he was good, but not necessarily that size Cease that we all love him so much for being. He went 5 innings, gave up 6 hits, 3 earned, a walk, 8 strikeouts. He went up against Spencer Schwellenbach, who I'm so sorry I doubted. He's a good pitcher. I'm just going to come out and say it. He went 7 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 of them earned, no walks, 11 strikeouts against the Padres team. That does not like to strike out, quite frankly. Meanwhile, offensively, Jackson Merrill opened the scoring with an RBI single in the first. Ozzie Albies ties it with an RBI single or an RBI double in the second. Nick Allen had a sac fly and a Dylan Cease wild pitch makes it 3-1, but that's when the wheels would come off here for Atlanta, as Gavin Sheets would immediately tie it in the next half inning with the 2-run homer of his own. And then the bane of my existence for years, Jake Cronenworth gives the Padres the lead with a solo shot in the seventh. And then Manny Machado would add a key insurance run with a solo home run in the eighth. And looking at this overall, this is really the recipe for Padres success. Machado is a fantastic hitter. I am so sorry I have doubted him, but he is really carrying this Padres team alongside Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill, who are having fantastic seasons. As per usual, mind you, the pitching staff for the Padres is phenomenal. Cease has been great. You saw how good Pivetta looks in this series. They did take a little bit of a blow. Michael King is on the IL. We'll see how that affects them going forward. But regardless, these are a great Padres team. I am so sorry I picked you to finish in fourth. I don't actually mean that. But for the Braves, they really started to turn around their season here. Acuna, let's not put stock in the 3 games here, but he looks back, man. The power has not gone anywhere. Yeah, we have not seen him really use the speed, and I don't think that's really going to be a big part of his game going forward, considering the fact that both ACLs are now reconstructed. And knowing someone who has a reconstructed ACL, you don't necessarily trust it that much here. But if he's hitting like this, I don't care. Acuna is going to be fantastic. You know, Matt Olson, Austin Riley are bouncing back in a huge, huge way. Drake Baldwin has lived up to the hype and is a Rookie of the Year favorite for a reason. The Braves have dug themselves into a really big hole here, and we have to see if Schwellenbach, Sale, and Strider can really carry a pitching staff and just drag this team to the playoffs here, because they were in a hole. They're about 500. They really need to step it up here because the National League is so damn competitive. They had some fight, but fight's not going to get you far. Now, what we talked about in the cold open here with Mark Elias and the Baltimore Orioles, last week they fired Brandon Hyde for a terrible start. But again, it's not his fault that the starting pitching staff is geriatric and old and has no talent. But here we are. The offense is underperforming. They've won 3 straight. Charlie Morton looked good in his last start, but they're still way, way out of it here. So let's talk about the Baltimore Orioles here and figure out what the hell is going on here. It begins with someone who I've been very high on. I didn't want to see the signs. I thought he would win an MVP at some point in his career. At this point, he looks like he's an average catcher. And I'm talking about Adley Rutschman here. He has a 93 WRC plus on the year. And really, it's because he's pulling a lot of ground balls. Like, he's still making good contact. He's squaring up the ball. He has a great plate approach. But he's hitting the ball on the ground about in line with his career norms. But his pulled ground ball rate is way, way, way up. So either one, you need to start prioritizing going the other way. Or if you're going to pull the ball in the air. You're making good contact here. Rutschman he's been disappointing since his Rookie of the Year campaign. Let's be honest here. The defense isn't as good. Framing, yeah, he's decent at, but he's not blocking as well. He's not calling as good of games as he used to. Offensively, he's been a disappointment here. They need to figure out something with him quickly because it's getting ugly here. But he's not the only one. I still have 3 names offensively I need to talk about here. Ryan Mountcastle. Dude, what the hell happened, man? He is whiffing 4% more this year. And, of course, that's caused a huge decrease in his barrel rate, his hard hit rate. And really, for those of you who don't know, a 4% increase in your whiff rate is basically unheard of. I don't want to say unheard of, but it's a flashing red sign that something's going horribly, horribly wrong. And it turns out that something is he can't hit sweepers. Changeup, don't get me wrong, that jumped by 20% his whiff rate. That's an issue. That's 40%. That's child's play compared to what the hell he's doing against sweepers. Against sweepers, he has a 64.1% whiff rate. That's a passing grade in high school, my guy. You shouldn't be anywhere near that number. But alas, he is. And it really, he was fine against sweepers last year. It was a 23% whiff rate. So something is going on. He is clearly not seeing this pitch correctly because sliders, that whiff rate jumped. All his whiff rates have jumped, let's be honest here. But he's hitting them, at a decent clip. It's just something about the sweeper that's really affecting him, and that's what's driving down his numbers, leading to a 64 WRC plus. But that's slightly worse than Heston Kierstad, who, again, has just been disappointing, quite frankly. He's aggressive at the plate, but he doesn't have the hard hit rate. He's not making contact the way a Jacob Wilson is. He's not hitting the ball hard like a Kyle Schwarber is to really justify that approach here. So, of course, what is he doing? He's just striking out a lot. He nearly needs to change his plate approach here. I get a lot of players are successful not walking. Jacob Wilson is probably going to win the AL Rookie of the Year doing that, but he has the bat-to-ball skills to make up for that. You do not, Heston. You need to turn into Joey Gallo or something, man, because it is painful to watch here. You have not lived up to that top prospect status whatsoever. You were really supposed to contribute here with the loss of Santander. No, it's just been brutal to see. And speaking of Anthony Santander, the man they brought in to place him, Tyler O'Neill. Oh my God. This is not the same Tyler O'Neill that was going off in Boston in a, albeit small sample size last year relative to everybody else in the league. But he was still an animal. He has just not been that in Baltimore. He has a 71 WRC plus. And, you thought the 4% increase in Ryan Mountcastle's chase rate is bad? Nope. 5% for Tyler O'Neill here. And what is more concerning to me is the average exit velocity is way, way, way down compared to last year. 2.5 mile an hour drop. And I really think it's a timing thing. Because if you look at the batted ball data, the exit velocities are down. But he's hitting it right about in line with his career norms. Fly ball rate, line drive, ground balls, directions are all about in line with the norms. The problem is he's hitting everything this way. And he's a lefty. He should be hitting it this way. So because of that, you're seeing a lot worse contact, a lot more outs. It's just he's not making good contact. Something's going on mechanically, timing-wise. He just cannot time up the ball whatsoever here. And really, these are all players expected to contribute here. They have contributed in huge, huge ways for their teams before. And that's not to let players like Gunnar Henderson off the hook here, because he's not had a great year by his standards either. Colton Cowser has been off. Like, this entire offense has been off. And really, that's fine if you had a competent pitching staff. But these guys don't even have a competent pitching staff here. Is we knew that signing Corbin Burns was priority number 1 for Baltimore this past offseason. And yes, I understand he really wanted to go to his home in Arizona. And that's why he ended up signing with the Diamondbacks. But I know you can say, like, oh, Blake Snell's hurt. Like, all the top starting pitchers are hurt. Not Max Fried, my guy. Max Fried is pitching phenomenal in your fucking division here. That would have been a smart signing. No, you signed Tomoyuki Sagano, who, let's be honest, is pitching good for this team. But he's the only one, quite frankly. Dean Kramer, 75 ERA+. Cade Pojovic, 78 ERA+. Zach Eflin, 70 ERA+. Kyle Gibson, 20 ERA+. Charlie Morton, 49 ERA+. In the bullpen, they only have 2 guys with positive ERA+. That's Keegan Aiken, Brian Baker with 100 ERA+ or better. And it's not like this was an unknown issue. We all knew this was an issue. Zach Eflin, yeah, he was good last year, but he doesn't pitch deep into games. Dean Kramer has never really been a great pitcher here. Cade Povich, same thing. Grayson Rodriguez, yes, he's going to come back at some point this year, but I highlighted in my season preview that I just don't trust him. I don't think the fastball is that good. And you can live with a bad fastball. God knows Paul Skeens and his IVB discussion that happened. But here's the thing. Skeens throws his fastball 100 miles an hour and has, great secondary stuff that plays off it. You know what Grayson Rodriguez throws his fastball at? 95, doesn't have the secondary stuff of Paul Skeens. He is not going to save this rotation here. Nobody's going to save this rotation here. If you thought Charlie Morton and Tomoyuki Sagano were going to be the guys to do it, with ownership saying, like, hey, spend money here, you are clearly the problem here. Is this Orioles team, they are out of it. They are wasting a year of their window. And to bring it back to Mark Elias for a second, you've not locked up Gunnar Henderson here. You've not locked up Rutschman, which is fine. I understand that. Dodgers did not lock up Corey Seager. They didn't lock up Buehler or Cody Bellinger or any of, like, the big stars that came up around 2017, 2018. And that's fine. You don't have to lock up your young stars. We saw how that worked for Chicago, and you see how Atlanta is kind of in a bind, and they really can't add more because they have their core essentially solidified at this point. But you supplement that by spending in free agency. I'm so tired of the discussion the Dodgers are ruining baseball. Yankees do the same thing. They don't lock up their young stars. Volpe hasn't been extended. Aaron Judge didn't sign an extension when he came up. But, they spend the money in the offseason. They go and get your Carlos Rodons. They go and get your Max Frieds here. And if you're not going to sign your players to arbitration extensions here, you got to bring people in, but you're not doing that. And who the people you bring in are ineffective, old, or just unproven. And you're honestly trying to moneyball your way to it. But here's the thing. The best analytics department is in Los Angeles, and they're doing fantastic work here. You have to spend money. You cannot try and prove a point here because this team has already disappointed in back-to-back postseasons. You're punting a year of contention with this core, honestly. And honestly, this core doesn't even look that good to begin with now because they're all underperforming. So something has to happen in Baltimore. A moment of reckoning is coming. And honestly, I don't know what to do from here. The core looks good, but you don't have a GM willing to spend money. I don't advocate for people to lose his job, but he needs to be fired here. You have to do something to make those long, agonizing years of pain in Baltimore worth it here. And one inning with the lead in the playoffs in the past 2 years is certainly not worth it. But speaking of the playoffs, our series to watch this week, as you can tell, is the World Series rematch. Anytime the World Series rematch is imminent, it's going to be the series to watch here, especially if it's Dodgers-Yankees here. It's going to be a fantastic series. You're going to see a lot of great stars. We know about Aaron Judge and his phenomenal season. We know about Shohei Ohtani and how great he's doing. But let's talk about the pitching matchups we're going to have here. In Game 1, it's going to be Max Fried for the Yankees. He's thrown 7 innings on the year. Good for a 1.29 ERA. 0.93 whip, 67 strikeouts, good for an 8.6 strikeouts per 9. He is the Cy Young favorite in the American League for a reason. I thought he would be good going to New York. I didn't think he'd be this good going to New York here. He's fantastic. But unfortunately, he is the hydrogen bomb to Tony Gonsolin's coughing baby. As Gonsolin has been, let's be honest, rough since coming back from Tommy John surgery. He's only gotten 25 innings with a 4.86 ERA, 1.44 WHIP, 28 strikeouts, good for 10.1 strikeouts per nine. But really, it's just going to be brutal in this one. Game 2, though, this is going to be the offensive show. I'm calling it now. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of fireworks here. Will Warren goes for the Yankees. He's thrown 50 and 2/3 innings on the year with a 4.09 ERA, 1.26 WHIP, 67 strikeouts, good for 11.5 strikeouts per nine. Again, it's one of those, like, if I'm not striking you out, you're going to make a lot of hard contact here. That's what the Dodgers tend to do. So they may tee off on Warren early. But unfortunately, they're throwing the worst pitcher you can throw against this lineup here. Because Landon Knack, he's a fly ball pitcher. I'm not going to read you his stats here. I'm going to tell you why it's going to be bad. Landon Knack succeeds by, getting the ball in the air, inducing weak contact. That's just one problem with that. Landon, you're facing a team that loves hitting the ball in the air, loves pulling the ball. You're giving up 3 home runs. I'm sorry. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch here, but it's just not going to be a good pitching matchup. And in the finale, we have Dodgers legend Ryan Yarbrough coming back to Dodger Stadium. He's thrown 29 1/3 innings with a 3.38 ERA, 1.16 WHIP, 28 strikeouts, good for 8.6 strikeouts per nine. He faces National League Cy Young favorite, and I called it. People. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's thrown 58 innings on the year with a 1.86 ERA, 0.91 WHIP, 68 strikeouts, good for 10.6 strikeouts per nine. He has been fantastic here because everyone knows about the splitter, but the curveball, man. He's thrown the curveball more than most people in the league, and it's been, not only is it a good curveball, but it's been dominant this year. It's going to be a fun pitching matchup. It's going to be a fun series. And there's so many names I can talk about here. But let's talk about the first baseman. Freddie Freeman, I'm so sorry. I doubted you, and I am wrong. Because I thought you were going to be like fringe top 20 this year. No, you were very clearly top 10 with the way you're playing. He's hitting 357 this year with 9 home runs, 34 RBIs, a 427 on base, 636 slugging, good for a 1063 OPS, and a very, very nearly twice as good league average OPS plus. He's sitting at a 199. He has been phenomenal to start this year. Man, I love me some Freddie Freeman here. And, of course, Paul Goldschmidt. This is one I called. Okay, so I'm going to take my victory lap on this one. Paul Goldschmidt, I thought he would be better going to the Yankees because, Busch Stadium is not super cavernous, but it's pretty large, especially compared to, how short it is down the lines at Yankee Stadium. And Goldschmidt has proven me right here. He's hitting 345 on the year with 5 home runs, 27 RBIs, a 399 on base, 490 slugging, good for an 889 OPS and a 153 OPS plus. He's been resurgent. He looks like the Dodger killer, MVP, whatever superlative you want to put in front of him. He is that Paul Goldschmidt here. He has been a revelation for the Yankees. Quite frankly, him, Trent Grisham, everyone on this Yankees team has been good, torpedo bat or not. And I'm looking forward to this World Series rematch. It's going to be a good one. And regardless, at least the Yankees fans can say they went back to Dodger Stadium for Game 6. But let me know in the comments down below, what series are you looking forward to the most? How would you fix the Baltimore Orioles? And more importantly, is the post-election year NL West a thing? Or am I just crazy? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to the Run the Play Network. And don't forget on the way out, play ball.